Welcome to Broad Street Phanatics. This is episode number 19, and we are here with John Fanta from Fox Sports College Basketball. And welcome, John, and we are excited to have you on.
Alex, it's great to be on with you. Thank you both for having me. Thanks to you guys. It's awesome. Terrific time of year, right? NBA draft in the books, Summer League coming up, and then we get right into an NBA and a college basketball season. And if you guys are like me, we love hoops. So it's awesome to be talking with you guys on this summer night.
I got some couple of questions for you. My first one is, what were your thoughts on the Philadelphia Sixers selections?
Well, I think that the Sixers are a team that went about draft night really well. And you have to look at what they've built and kind of where they're going. And I think that for me, Jaden Springer is someone that I was high on heading into this draft because he's shifty, he's quick. I think that there is a scoring prowess there. I think for Jaden Springer, it's a matter of, is the perimeter shot going to continue to evolve? And then can he kind of allow the game to come to him a little bit more? But there's no question that he's someone that I think is a really interesting prospect, because this is someone who has a 3-and-D makeup for the NBA. The shooting numbers can be a bit of a fool's gold. Like that's known out there, meaning he's someone who, as much as he could be making them, it could go the wrong way. But if Jaden Springer is able to be efficient, then I think he's going to be able to defend. And you know what? He's only 18. So the Sixers are betting on potential with Jaden Springer. Then we go to Filip Petrusev. And this is a guy who could be a rotational player down the road. You know, he's someone that, in my mind, needs to build some weight, but he scored the ball well at Gonzaga. He shot 42% from beyond the arc. I think he's a really interesting player, and I think it's a good selection by the 76ers. And then you go from that and you look at Charles Bassey. And here's the thing about Charles Bassey. Charles Bassey is an athletic super freak, right? I mean, he's someone who has superior length and averaged 18 and 11 at Western Kentucky this past year and was one of the more unique stories in college basketball. And look, the Philadelphia 76ers need depth beyond Joel Embiid. You know, that Philly needs to get some more options beyond Joel Embiid. Maybe Charles Bassey is that type of guy for them going forward. So I think it's a very interesting draft by the Sixers. I think the picks make sense. And I'm really intrigued to see if Philadelphia, when you pick a player like Jaden Springer, and you look at what Daryl Morey believes in, Daryl Morey's thinking, I'm going to try to develop the talents of Jaden Springer. We have a coaching staff that can do that. Now it's up to the staff to take an 18-year-old and round him into form.
I think that it's going to be very interesting to see if he can get to the starting lineup in a few years from now. I'm just curious to see what Doc Rivers does with the rotation. And it seems like the Sixers are keeping Ben Simmons, and that's going to be a very interesting topic with him staying put. And I just want one of your thoughts on him staying put and what does this bring to the table for them?
Ben Simmons, you know, with Ben Simmons, here's the thing. We look at Ben Simmons and everybody gets judgmental right away. And I like to look at the whole player, okay? I think that Ben Simmons, you could say this about him, one of the top defenders in the NBA. You could say that as a finisher, someone who can drive to the rim and make things happen, he is as tough of a matchup for an opposing defense at times that you're going to see in the National Basketball Association.
Mhm.
I personally gave it thought that Ben Simmons might need a change of scenery to potentially find something new in his game. But maybe he can find that still in Philadelphia. And for Ben Simmons, the case is simple. You are 25 years old. You're 25 years old. You still can get better as a player. But you have to accept the fact that you have flaws in your game and you got to play to your strengths. So my thoughts are, I think it's for Philadelphia, Sixers fans want that championship, and they thought they would get that championship by trusting the process. So I get how sour they are that it hasn't worked out. By the same token, I think that there has to be a realistic expectation for Ben Simmons. You know what he's going to give you. You know what he's not going to give you. And as an organization, if you're Philly, you got to build around that then.
Yeah, I can completely agree with you. He's that type of player that needs to take time to develop, and it's not going to happen right away. I can already see that.
And he's not the best player on his own. I mean, the fact is, if a team's going to win a championship, the fact of the matter is it's not going to come if Ben Simmons is the best player on your team. And he's not.
And plus, it's a team sport, so can't rely on him all the time.
No, and I think we get caught in that. Look at the Bucks. Look at Giannis Antetokounmpo ended up, the reason why Milwaukee won a championship is because, Giannis was great, and he willed them in Game 7. But to get there, you got to get there. Drew Holiday, Bobby Portis, Chris Middleton, and others stepped up to the plate.
Yep.
My question is, what are your thoughts on the rest of the draft?
Well, I think that the Orlando Magic were the big winners from draft night. I think that Orlando, in being able to take Jalen Suggs at number 5, there were some people I talked to who thought Jalen Suggs could have been the second or third best player in this draft. Orlando got him at number 5, and they got Franz Wagner at number 8. So for me, the Magic are the big winners there. They had 2 top 8 picks. They didn't trade. They capitalized on a good cream of the crop at the top of this draft class, and they made it happen. I do not understand how the San Antonio Spurs picked Josh Primo at number 12. I thought it was a real stretch pick. I think that Primo's a player that could have been picked at the end of the first round. San Antonio's betting on potential with him, but I don't understand. I don't get why the Spurs picked him. I thought they could have come away with a couple other really good players. Moses Moody was on the board. Chris Duarte was on the board. And by the way, I think Chris Duarte is going to be someone who has a long NBA career that didn't get picked in the top 10. But I thought that the Pacers made a really exciting selection, a good selection with Chris Duarte. So couple of things that really stood out to me on draft night. I thought that those were some of the things. And I'm really interested to see how James Bouknight, the UConn star, works with LaMelo Ball in Charlotte. That was another takeaway I had.
So going off of that that kind of topic, what are your thoughts on the free agency moves around the league?
Well, Russell Westbrook to LA and now Carmelo Anthony to Los Angeles. Wow. I mean, now you really have one of the more intriguing setups for a season in NBA history. And you know why I say that, guys? I think back to The Last Dance with Michael Jordan. And I would expect that there's a media crew, if not several crews, that are going to follow the Lakers around this year because it's going to be TV. It's going to be theater to get these behind-the-scenes stories, this footage, all this stuff. And look, Los Angeles, the Lakers are betting on star power experience. They are not a young team. They're going to be the NBA's oldest team. So how do the Lakers manage their way through that? I'm really, really intrigued to see that, how it works. The Knicks held on to some of their talent. They also go and capture Kemba Walker. As we talk on this Wednesday, they captured him earlier today, and they're going to bring Kemba Walker. He's coming home to New York. Interesting move. Very interesting move. I'm interested to see what ends up happening here as we go forward, because we're still early on. Where does Damian Lillard end up? The Sixers, they brought in someone that's close to Dame, a guy named Phil Beckner, who was Damian Lillard's longtime trainer, and the Sixers hired Phil Beckner as their consultant today. So where does Dame Lillard end up? Like, that is the question that I'm asking, and I think it's going to be really interesting to see who ends up answering that question and who ends up getting him, because I still think Damian Lillard can be a championship player. He is that player. He just hasn't found the success to match it. So really, really interesting NBA free agency season thus far. I was shocked to see Russ going to play alongside LeBron.
And also another move that happened today was Spencer Dinwiddie to Washington. It's going to be very interesting to see him playing with Bradley Beal, and I'm actually looking forward to that kind of offensive team, and it's going to be very very fun to watch them both and get to know what kind of offense they really are.
Yeah, and I think that for Washington, the fact is that Bradley Beal needs help. He can't do it himself, and the Wizards are getting a player in Spencer Dinwiddie who can certainly help him, and who is a really interesting NBA player, because I think that guys at the age of 28 years old, he's someone that they need to figure out a way to get him on the best days of his career. There's no question that Spencer Dinwiddie is someone that can average 20 a game. He already has done it. He's a player who's already done it, and he's a player that at 6'5" provides length, and is going to be able to help Washington. So the really interesting acquisition, and I'm intrigued to see what ends up happening with the Wizards. I think that the Wizards are going about things the right way. I didn't expect Spencer Dinwiddie to land there. I'm interested to see what the Wizards do going forward. But look, Spencer Dinwiddie is someone that passes the basketball very well too, can create for others. He and Bradley Beal together makes for a very interesting combination down in Washington. The question for Washington is front court wise, like what exactly are they going to end up looking like going forward? And how do they manage their assets as they try to retool their organization and rebuild for the future?
Yeah, that kind of leads me into my question. What are your thoughts on the Eastern Conference this year? Who do you think have the best chance of being on top of the Eastern Conference at the end of the season?
Yeah, I would fully expect that Brooklyn is going to avenge the way that this past season ended, and that you're going to see a reloaded Kevin Durant, who's out to prove it to everybody that he is the best player in the world. I think that Giannis Antetokounmpo has that title right now. He won an NBA championship. He deserves to have the title of best player in the world. I expect the Bucks and the Nets to be going after it. I can't see the 76ers not being a team that's contending. I got to say, guys, I don't know if the Knicks, as currently constructed, I'm not sure if the Knicks are one of the top teams in the Eastern Conference next year. I thought they could have gotten more explorative in their free agency search. They didn't. We'll see. The other question, does Trae Young get even better? I would think he does. So that means Atlanta's going to be one of the top teams in the Eastern Conference. And, guys, I think when we talk about Trae Young, he still has untapped potential, and that's downright scary. I love everything about Trae Young. I think Atlanta is a fascinating team going forward because Coach McMillan did an outstanding job this past season, as good of a job as anybody did in the NBA. They play defense. They have some good complementary pieces. They're filled with depth, and they have a star in Trae Young. I think it's going to be really interesting to see how Trae Young goes going forward with Atlanta versus how a John Morant goes with the Memphis Grizzlies, because I think they're both on the same trajectories. Just to be interesting to see who's winning games more and who's winning playoff games more. So those are the teams that come to mind at the top of the Eastern Conference. I think that what Miami's done, the Heat are interesting because they lock up Victor Oladipo, and they've made a couple of other moves that make sense for them. And Eric Spoelstra is such a good coach. So we'll see. You think about what Miami's doing, and you think about what they're doing with Kyle Lowry and Duncan Robinson and Jimmy Butler. The Miami Heat do have notable quality players. They're going to have to bounce back next season, but Miami would be my dark horse.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think Miami is one of the winners in free agency in the East. They definitely got better in the last couple of days once free agency began. And moving on to college basketball, I'm actually good friends with Eric Dixon at Villanova, and I just wanted your thoughts on him and what kind of role do you think he will bring this year?
Well, I think when you talk about Eric Dixon, you're talking about somebody who has the physicality to be a really special player. 6'8", 260, it's hovered right around there. And his size, guys, he's someone that I think still has some real untapped potential. I think that he's someone that is going to have to carry a lot of the workload in the post for Villanova this upcoming year. This Villanova team, which welcomes back star power Colin Gillespie, Jermaine Samuels. You've got Justin Moore back as well. But one area that Villanova needs that guy to step up is the front court. Eric Dixon can be that guy. And I like his upside quite a bit. I know Jay Wright does. Jay Wright has been very complimentary of Eric Dixon, the way that he works, the way that he practices. And I expect those things to start to pay off into results for Eric Dixon here this upcoming season.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that kind of leads me to my next question. What are your expectations for Villanova this upcoming year?
Well, the expectation is what the expectation has become on the main line, and that is that Villanova is a national championship contender. Villanova is a team that has the best point guard in the country in Colin Gillespie. And when you have that, he can win you so many situations and win so many games because he is the epitome of a great game manager, but a playmaker for his teammates. Justin Moore, for me, is the player that determines how far Villanova goes. Because if Justin Moore plays his best basketball, Villanova has the three-headed monster between Moore, Gillespie, and Jermaine Samuels. So I'm really intrigued to see what Justin Moore now does in year 3. He's a savvy guard. He makes the right plays. He's someone that averaged 12.9 points per game last year. Can he be someone that averages 15.5, 16 points per game this upcoming season? And then for Villanova, guys, it really comes down to what are they going to get from their freshman class? And you can't count too much on a freshman class. But look, Villanova brings in a freshman class that is one of the best freshman classes in the country. So I expect them to be a team that does have freshman star power, that does have freshmen that can contribute. It's a top 20 class according to 24/7 Sports, and you bring in a guy like Jordan Longino, right from Fort Washington, PA, who's a 4-star guy. I expect Jordan Longino, Trey Patterson to continue to get better. If those guys in the supporting cast can score the basketball efficiently, the sky's the limit for Villanova because they have a great point guard who can help others around him get high percentage shots.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm really anxious to see what their schedule looks like in the coming months. And my next question is, we found out today that they had a schedule move and that they will be going out west to play UCLA. And that's a very interesting matchup. And just wanted your thoughts on that game.
Well, get ready for a heavyweight fight, a real clash of the elite in college basketball. Jaime Jaquez, Johnny Juzang, and a loaded lineup for the Bruins, who are poised to be a team that that can contend again for a national title after their surprise run last season from the first four all the way to the final four. So I am super, super excited for that game because I think that Ju Zhang is an NBA player who's coming back here, made the right decision, but he's going to be an NBA player. Jaime Jaquez is going to be a pro. Those two guys and what UCLA has coming in, Mick Cronin has a loaded roster. So for Villanova, that's a big, big road test there going to Pauley Pavilion. Pauley should be rocking. It should feel like old school John Wooden era hoops because it's so well played. Villanova plays the game the right way. And for Villanova, that's a great road test for them right on November the 12th. It's a Friday night game. It's going to be a very good road test for them early in the season. I'm really intrigued to see how does Justin Moore match up with Johnny Juzang? How does a Caleb Daniels match? Like defensively, Caleb Daniels is not what Johnny Juzang and Jaime Jaquez are. But can Caleb Daniels defend those guys? You have to guard them. And then Villanova's ability to handle UCLA's length inside is a huge question that Villanova's going to have to answer. So I am super, super intrigued. I'm so glad you guys asked me about that because I think it's a terrific home and home by both programs.
Yeah, definitely. I'm definitely excited to see what outcome brings to the table for that game. And looking at the other side, I'm not sure how good you know of the AAC conference, but
Sure.
But I wanted your thoughts on the Temple University.
Well, from what I know about Temple, Temple is a team that I think in a new era, you know, that they ended up handing things off to Aaron McKee. I think it's just a matter of continually finding their identity and trying to build from there. You know, you look at kind of where they are as a program, and that was a job that it's not easy to fill the shoes of Fran Dunphy. And look, this was a Temple team that this past season, you know, did have their struggles. But by the same token, I think that this is a Temple team that has some young talent, some very interesting talent, and that should be a team that takes the next step in the American because that's what Temple basketball is. So just taking a look at kind of what they have coming back, you know, from my understanding, you're going to have Khalif Battle coming back, and he's a quality player. I mean, I think that he's a good guard from New Jersey, plays the game the right way, and I would expect for him to be someone that takes the next step in his career. And then you look at what else they have, and you see a guy like Damian Dunn, who's a 6'5" guard who played good basketball last year. But the thing for Temple guys is they're young. They were a young team last year. So Coach McKee and his staff have to continue to develop that talent. I don't think that Temple will be one of the best teams in the AAC this year, but the way the AAC works, you can make a move up to 4th or 5th and be hanging around the picture. So for Temple, it's can they get Battle? Can they get Dunn to take kind of a leap here heading into this season? And then you've got a couple other guys that come to mind who are going to be back in the fold for them, like a Jake Forrester, a forward who played good basketball last year, averaged 9 and 6. Can they get that to 12 and 8, 12 and 9? So it's just a matter of a young team coming more into the fold. That's what I think of when I think of Temple hoops.
My question is kind of going back to draft night. What are your thoughts on Jeremiah Robinson Earl getting drafted by the Oklahoma City Thunder?
Well, I think it's a savvy move by the Thunder because you got a guy who could be a first-round type of talent early in the second round. Oklahoma City trades up. They make that move with the Knicks, and they take Robinson Earl. And look, for the Oklahoma City Thunder, they need everything right now. They do. The Thunder are in need of everything to try to build around Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who just got paid. He got his big 5-year, $172 million maximum rookie contract extension. For the Oklahoma City Thunder, they need guys who do it the right way. Jeremiah Robinson Earl is someone who does. The Thunder made a trade to go get JRE because JRE does a couple of things really well. He's 6'9". He shoots the 15 to 17 foot jump shot well. He defends you well enough. Now for Robinson Earl, it's can he shoot the three better? His three-pointer is a little bit wonky. Can he evolve that? His back-to-the-basket game is really good. Guys, in the half-court offense this past year, Jeremiah Robinson Earl converted 67% of his field goal attempts in the half-court offense. He's a highly efficient player. The Thunder need weapons. Jeremiah Robinson Earl is not going to be the best player on a team. He can be one heck of a role guy, though.
I didn't look at the Summer League roster, but do you know if he's on the Summer League roster?
He is, from what I understand. I will take a look to confirm with you, gents, but I am almost positive that Jeremiah Robinson Earl landed on the Summer League roster. Yep.
It'll be cool to watch him compete during this summer.
It'll be really cool to watch him compete.
Yeah.
And you just the track record of Villanova players, and it speaks for itself. You know, Mikal Bridges, Josh Hart, Jalen Brunson. The list goes on and on. So I think you're talking about a team that should be interesting to watch. And Jeremiah Robinson Earl. You know what? It looks like the Thunder haven't officially released it, but I would expect Robinson Earl to play a major role.
So we have one more question. The last question is, what do you think is the most intriguing start to the season tournament?
Ooh. Well, Villanova Hall of Fame tip-off at Mohegan Sun is great. I mean, you got the Wildcats in Tennessee. Tennessee should be pretty loaded this upcoming season. And then you could have a rematch of the 2016 National Championship when Villanova takes on North Carolina, if they take on North Carolina. The Wildcats will play either Purdue or UNC. That's November 20th and 21st. Highly, highly intriguing early season event. I think the Battle for Atlantis is fascinating. In the Battle for Atlantis, guys, you have Michigan State, Syracuse, UConn. So you have Dan Hurley, and you also have Arizona State, and that's Bobby Hurley. So you could have the brothers Hurley face off on the island. They do not want to do that, but it could happen. And I think that's really, really, really interesting. So there's a couple of MTEs that are particularly fascinating. How about the Fort Myers tip-off? Kind of underrated. Ohio State, Florida, Cal's kind of the non-headliner, but Seton Hall. Seton Hall should be a team near the top of the Big East again. They might face Ohio State or Florida. I think that's an interesting event as well. So those are some of the events that really do pique my interest. Down at Maui, I had to look again at the Maui Invitational. I know for a fact that Butler's going, but that field's kind of a sneaky good field because you got Houston, who's been a perennial contender, Oregon, who's expected to be very good. You've got Notre Dame, you've got Texas A&M and Wisconsin welcomes back Brad Davison, and I think he's been going to college his entire life. So it's a really fun slate of multi-team events, and Atlantis the Battle for Atlantis is a star-studded lineup. I brought up a couple of them to you guys, but I think I forgot one school, if not two schools, and it's just such a good event. I'm looking right now. Oh yeah, you got Auburn, Baylor, Loyola Chicago, VCU, Syracuse, Connecticut, Michigan State, Arizona State. That Battle for Atlantis is off the charts.
Yeah. Speaking of interesting matchups, St. Bonaventure against Boise State in the Shriners Children's Charleston Classic might be a great matchup.
Yeah, it might be. Might be a very interesting matchup. Charleston is such a good event. I covered that event one year, loved it. The hotels are right by the building, and Boise State's a team, you know, the Mountain West does not get enough credit for how good of a league it is. And Boise State's one of those programs that's really interesting.
Okay, thank you so much for coming on, John.
Well, thank you.
We enjoyed having you.
And thank you, Cameron. And I'm happy to come on with you guys anytime you need it. Hopefully, we do this closer to the start of the season or during the season. Would love to join you guys anytime. And thanks very much for having me.
Yeah, thank you.